The night I caught my daughter-in-law's hand covering my hallway camera, I didn't scream. I started recording. The smell of chemicals, the silence, the lies. I'd seen it coming. Before sunrise, I had every file ready for court. But this was just the beginning. The rain came down hard that night, whispering against the old cedar boards like a secret the house didn't want me to hear. I sat in my robe, chamomile tea cooling between my palms, the TV humming low with the weather report. Thunder rolled somewhere far off, and for a second, the lights flickered, throwing my reflection across the window pane. I've seen worse storms, I told myself, the way old women do when silence starts feeling too large. Then came the sound. 2 voices on my porch. My son's, low and hesitant, hers sharp enough to slice air. Callista never bothered to hide her contempt. Even her whispers carried teeth. Through the thin wood, I caught words. Handle it tonight. The porch door sighed shut, and I felt a chill creep under the hallway door like something alive. A faint metallic clink followed, out of place amid the rhythm of rain. My instincts pricked up, the teacher in me cataloging every sound. I rose, cane tapping soft against the floorboards, and that's when she appeared at my doorway. Her face was still, lips painted the color of dry wine. "Stay put, Maydell," she said. "I'll fix this once and for all." The click of the lock echoed in my ribs. The smell hit next. Gasoline, faint but deliberate, mixed with the wet wood scent of an old southern home. My throat tightened. "Travis?" I called. Silence. Only thunder answering back. I pressed the knob. It bit into my palm but wouldn't turn. "Travis!" Nothing. Outside, I heard her heels cross the porch, deliberate, rehearsed. Then came the rasp of a match. A small bloom of orange licked across the curtain, devouring it in one breath. My heart didn't race. It steadied. Panic wastes oxygen. I remembered that from teaching safety drills. I dropped low, dragging a towel from the bathroom sink and wetting it. The tap coughed out just enough to dampen the cloth. I tied it around my mouth and nose. "Not tonight," I muttered. "Not my story to end this way." I scanned the room, the dresser, heavy but near the window, painted shut for years. My cane, faithful as an old friend. I crouched, fingers finding the small pouch I'd sewn under the dresser baseboard, a habit from the years when I didn't trust banks. Inside, the silver locket. Inside that, Jerome's USB drive, the one holding deeds, insurance, and letters no one else had seen. Proof of who built this life, proof she couldn't erase. Heat curled around the room, crackling like paper secrets. I wrapped the towel tighter, planted the cane against the window frame, and pushed. The paint groaned, cracked, and gave. Rain slid through the small gap, hissing against the rising flame. "Jerome," I whispered, "keep me steady." I shoved harder. Glass cracked, a few shards cutting my sleeve. The night air flooded in, cool and saving. The curtain behind me whooshed into fire. I didn't wait for the next breath. I climbed, shoulders scraping wood, legs trembling, lungs clawing for air. My robe snagged on a nail, and I left a piece behind. Didn't need it where I was going. The roof was slick with rain, but Jerome's old trellis waited below, same one he'd tied in '98. I crawled, feeling the world sway beneath me. When my feet hit mud, the cold nearly undid me. My knees gave, but I laughed, a small, hoarse sound. Sirens wailed far off, or maybe that was just the wind carrying hope. I pressed my hand to the locket beneath my robe. "You took my walls, Callista," I said into the storm, "but not my name." The house behind me glowed red against the rain, like a living thing set free from its skin. Neighbors shouted. Someone threw a blanket over my shoulders. "Hang on, Miss Hollins," a voice said. "Help's coming." I nodded, but said nothing. My proof was warm against my skin, and in the glow of my burning home, I whispered the first promise of my new life. "Fire burns lies clean. Let's see what's left standing." Morning light felt cruel, cutting through the hospital blinds like judgment. The air smelled of disinfectant and coffee gone cold. Every breath burned. Every cough scraped raw. A nurse adjusted my oxygen mask, asking my name, the date, my son's name. Maydell Hollins, I said slowly, my voice sandpapered but steady. She nodded, typing. I caught the words, house fire on her screen. Gas leak season again. An EMT joked from the hallway. They believed it already. A neat little accident. I stayed quiet. In the south. Silence opens more doors than noise. While they talked, I listened. Who mentioned insurance? Who avoided my eyes? My ID bracelet itched. Next of kin? The clerk asked. Travis Hollins? I replied. Her pen paused before moving on. I reached for my purse, feeling the locket through the lining. Still there. Still mine. Through the thin curtain, Callista's voice rose, smooth as a hymn but twice as false. We almost lost Mom, she told the local news crew, her hand pressed to her chest. Old wiring and rain. Thank God for neighbors. The reporter nodded, eating up every word. Travis stood beside her, head down, lips barely moving. He wasn't built for lies, not the kind that leave ash behind. Callista dabbed her eyes with a tissue that hadn't seen a single tear. We'll start a GoFundMe for her home, she said. I watched her silhouette. No soot, no singed hair, just a clean cardigan and the scent of money about to move. When she stepped inside my room later, she carried a bouquet of plastic roses that smelled faintly of melted wax. Rest, Maydell, she said. You scared us half to death. I smiled. Storms have a mind of their own. Her lips twitched. The chief said it looked accidental. I met her gaze. Bless his heart for working in the rain. Travis shifted, his voice small. We're just glad you're okay. My eyes drifted to the folder sticking from Callista's tote. Forms stamped claim. I nodded toward the flowers. Pretty things. They'll last through anything. Her smile thinned. That's the idea. That night, a nurse named Candace came to check my vitals. She whispered, Ma'am, did you know your daughter-in-law signed for your insurance release? My pulse monitor beeped faster. She said you were too weak to handle it. I kept my tone calm. Paper moves quicker than pain, huh? Candace gave a small nod. Ask for the hospital advocate in the morning. Don't sign anything new. She left a note with a number folded inside my chart. When she was gone, I eased my purse under the blanket and tucked the locket into the pillow seam. Safe enough for now. Using the hospital phone, I called Lorna Devereaux's office. The voicemail clicked on, and I spoke slow, each word like chalk on a blackboard. This is Maydell Hollins. House fire, possible fraud, trust documents in a silver locket. I am of sound mind. By morning, the detective came, a young man with polite disbelief. Sometimes old doors swell in the rain, he said when I mentioned the lock knob. Sometimes they do, I answered. And sometimes they're locked. He wrote that down. When Callista returned to collect me, her tone was sugar. You'll stay with us a few days until things settle. I smiled. That's mighty kind. The nurse handed me discharge papers, and I made sure copies were emailed to my address. Paper trail always tells its own story. As we rolled past the black skeleton of my home, Vernon McCready stood near the yellow tape, raincoat dripping. Started low, he said softly to Travis. Not wiring. Callista's smile froze. We're taking her home. Vernon's eyes met mine. Fires talk, he said. You just have to listen. Their house was bright, too bright. The air perfumed and tight. Cameras blinked in the corners like watchful eyes. No stairs, no kitchen work, Callista instructed. You just rest. I nodded, noting the angles. Travis brought a blanket, looking half alive. You sleep, I said. He nodded, retreating. When the house quieted, I sewed a pocket into my pillow and hid the nurse's note there. Oh, I whispered. Not blind. A shadow moved in the hall. Paper rustled. Someone was checking my things. I lay still, fingers brushing the hidden locket. The fire hadn't taken everything. I woke before dawn, my throat still tasting of hospital oxygen and burnt cedar. The house was too quiet, except for the faint hum of something electric. I sat up, smoothed the pillow, and touched the seam where I'd hidden my locket. Still there. I stretched slow by the window. watching the pale light crawl over Athens Ridge. From this corner, the camera couldn't see me. I'd mapped that blind spot last night. Keep it quiet. Keep it clean. Keep your receipts. I whispered, today. I'd test their watching eyes, bait their greed, and choose my ground. When I stepped into the kitchen, Callista was already dressed in gym clothes, her hair polished into obedience. "Morning," she chirped, pouring coffee. "Sit. I'll fix your plate," I smiled. "Smells good. I can pour my own." She laughed thinly. "We just want you to rest." "Medel." I met her gaze. "I'm old, baby, not helpless." Travis looked like he hadn't slept, eyes shadowed, fingers drumming on the counter. The doorbell cam chirped softly when I moved. That sound was proof enough someone was watching. I caught a glint of paperwork near the toaster, an insurance brochure half hidden in a magazine. 2 digits of a policy number peeked out. I memorized them. After breakfast, I went back to the guest room and dimmed the lamp. A red dot winked from the smoke detector. "Well," I murmured. "Ain't that cute?" I used my hand mirror, angling it until the light proved it. Someone had planted a lens. I draped a lace shawl over it, pretending to dust. The gesture was grandmotherly, harmless. I smiled at my reflection. If they want a show, I'll give them reruns. I slipped into the bathroom, used Travis's phone, and texted Vernon. 10 minutes at curb, deleted it fast, cleared the sent list. Then I prepped my bait, a manila envelope marked house files, old inside, only faded copies and 1 crumb of truth, the old trust address. I left it sticking halfway from my purse, plain enough for a camera to catch. Travis drove me to the burned lot after lunch. I told him I needed fresh air. Vernon was out front, raking leaves. "Casual as Sunday?" "You said fires talk," I said quietly. "Mine said a low start." He nodded. "Accelerant, rag, placed." He slipped me a folded card, no logo, just a handwritten name of a claims investigator. I handed him my grocery list, 2 lines longer than it needed to be. "Got it," he said. Travis watched us, puzzled but silent. We didn't touch the ashes, no footprints, no trace. Back home. I set the decoy envelope on the nightstand, sat in full view of the lens, sighed, and pretended to nap. The boards creaked minutes later. A zipper rasped, papers shifted. Someone, Callista most likely, took the bait. I kept breathing slow, fingers brushing the pillow seam. My locket stayed put. If a fox grabs bait, I thought, you learn his hole. That evening, I spoke with Lorna over speakerphone. Her tone was sharp and steady. "Preservation letters filed," she said. "No one can move funds without your consent." I listed times, names, the locked door. "Stay boring on purpose," she advised. I smiled. "Ma'am, that's my specialty." Dinner came with wine and false laughter. Callista filled the silence with talk of community fundraisers. I put down my fork. No GoFundMe in my name. No forms without my signature. Bills stay mine. Travis froze. Callista's smile turned porcelain. "We're just trying to help." I leaned back. "Then help by listening." Her fingers tightened on the glass, knuckles pale. Later. The house slept, or pretended to. My phone buzzed on the dresser. Unknown number, finalizing tomorrow 9 a.m. My full policy number followed. I stared at the screen until the digits blurred, then set my alarm for 6. Some lines. Once crossed, burned forever, I woke at 6 sharp, sliding into my navy church dress, the one I wore to PDA meetings when I needed both grace and authority. My hands moved steady, button by button. I packed my purse, Bible, ID, pen, notepad, small comb, downstairs. The kitchen smelled of cinnamon toast. I made my own breakfast, left the counter spotless. "We leave at 7, I told Travis. Tone simple, not soft. The cameras blinked as I passed, tiny red dots watching an old woman who wouldn't flinch. Before stepping out, I checked the nightstand. The decoy envelope was gone. Perfect. My trap had teeth at Lorna Devereaux's office. The air smelled of toner and purpose. She met me with black coffee and no pity. We sat under the hum of the copier. I told her everything. The lock click, The rain, the fake concern, the hospital papers Candace flagged. Lorna's fingers moved like a pianist's, typing, drafting, aligning facts into weapons. "We'll freeze the proceeds, revoke authority, and notify the county," she said. When she called the insurance legal desk, her voice turned blade cool. "Preserve, miss. Hollins's file immediately." I listened to my name echo through the receiver, carved into record. "We act boring and loud," she said, sliding me copies. "That's my native tongue," I replied. At Piedmont Mutual's lobby, Callista was already there, all beige cardigan and church face. She held a folder thick with pre-filled lies. "We're here for Mom's payout," she told the clerk, sweet as syrup. I stepped forward. "Correction. We're here to preserve it." I laid Lorna's letters on the counter. The clerk froze, called a supervisor. Callista smiled tighter. "She's overwhelmed," she offered. I turned. Calm as a preacher. "I'm insured, not incapacitated." The supervisor stamped a hold confirmation, time-stamped and signed. As we walked out, my phone buzzed, a message from the hospital advocate forwarding a form. Callista's ghosted signature on my benefit claim. Proof had a pulse now. In the parking lot, sunlight hit Travis's face. I looked at him, steady. "Son, you can't stand in two doorways at once." He swallowed hard. "She said the chief thought wiring caused it," I said. "Fires talk." "Travis," ours spoke low. His shoulders dropped, shame quiet as fog. "Pick up my mail at the post office," I added, a test. Small but telling. "Yes, ma'am," he said. That ma'am carried weight. Paper doesn't panic. I thought, it just waits for ink. Callista stood by the car, pretending to text, eyes like lenses. Letter film strength, not surrender. Vernon met me by the tape perimeter later. The oak still stood, blackened but proud. He showed me photos, V-shaped burns near the baseboard. "Accelerant pooled," he explained. "Not wiring." I took notes, each word a matchbook. "You always were a teacher," he said. "Guess I still am." I answered. He handed me a public summary and a name for a retired investigator. "We'll trace her timeline." He promised. I thanked him. And the oak, too. That night, dinner was crisp lettuce and 4 smiles. "Contractors can start soon," Callista chirped. "Stop calling it your project," I said evenly. "Coordinate your kitchen. My house is mine." I placed the hold confirmation by my fork. Travis read it, nodded once. Callista's fork stilled midair. "You can love folks," I said softly, "and still lock your door." She handed me my room key without a word. Some time passed, too. A sweet chemical scent crept under my door, the unmistakable ghost of solvent. A floorboard sighed. Then, the faint click of the back door. I slipped on my shoes. Every nerve wide awake, the scent hit like memory. Sweet, sharp, wrong. I slipped on my flats, grabbed my phone and a dish towel, then cracked my door an inch. The air carried that chemical whisper from the laundry room. The hall was still, lights low. I followed the thread, heart steady, mind working. The under-cabinet light glowed faint. A damp rag hung over the sink. Window cracked. Fan silent. The floor glistened under moonlight. A slick shine that didn't belong. I didn't touch a thing. I opened my camera, spoke soft and clear. 2:14 a.m. Residue present, no open flame. Then I pushed the back door open for air. Let the night wash through. My call to dispatch was calm, factual. Odor complaint, possible solvent spill. They logged it. I texted Vernon. Odor noted, no sampling, scene left intact. A soft latch behind me. I turned. Caught a shadow moving down the hall, tall, quick. Not Travis. I didn't chase. Some battles win by record, not reaction. I switched the thermostat fan to on, wedged the laundry door open with a book, and returned to my room. I wrote everything in my notebook. Hands still firm, pulse even. Sleep wouldn't come, but purpose did. By sunrise, I brewed coffee strong enough to cut silence. Travis stumbled in. "Smell that?" I asked. He nodded. "That wasn't detergent." I slid him a clipboard. "New rule, no chemicals in common spaces. Laundry stays dry." My voice didn't rise. Rules don't need volume to stand. Callista floated in, too chipper. "Morning, I ran towels last night," I said. "At 2 a.m. With solvent? That's not towels, that's a choice." I pushed my phone forward. The time-stamped video glowing between us. She gave a paper-thin laugh. "Probably a spill." "Then it's your spill," I said. "And it's logged." I set the next boundary. "No one enters my room. No papers signed without me. No weight on my insurance." Travis got his task. "Pick up my P.O. box mail and meet me at the bank." He nodded. Quiet understanding finally surfacing. By 8:15, the locksmith pulled up. I met him on the porch, showed ID, and watched him rekey my door. "Locks ain't insults," I told Callista. "They're boundaries." She turned away. Jaw tight, I added a lockbox from my purse. At 9 sharp, I walked into Athens Ridge Bank. I placed the locket and deed copies into a safe deposit box. Travis signed as witness, not co-renter. The paper clicked shut behind metal. My piece sealed inside. At 10 past 10, I stood at the magistrate's window. I filed for a temporary order, property interference, harassment, everything documented. My packet thick with proof. Insurance hold, odor report, nurse's form, my memo. The clerk stamped and said, "You'll get a call." I texted Lorna the receipts. "Good," she replied. "Next, HOA and security." Later in the courthouse lot, Travis looked small under the sunlight. "I went along with her," he said. "Not anymore." I smiled just a little. "Then start walking the other way." He handed me my mail, a padded envelope with my church key seal broken. I drew a circle on the dusty windshield. "Inside here is my piece," I said. "If you step in, wipe your feet." Dinner came cold. Callista chirped about contractors. I set down my fork. "No demo authorized. HOA's got notice." The doorbell rang. A deputy stood with papers. "Callista Voss?" he asked. Her face drained. "You've been served." He read the order. Voice even. Travis stared at me, eyes wet with shame and relief. "Paper don't panic," I said, signing my copy. Callista hissed. "You made this war." "No," I told her. "I just turned on the lights." That night, the house sat in brittle quiet. My phone buzzed. A group text. "Family meeting 7 p.m. At the church, non-negotiable." I clicked attend. "Some fires you face in the open." I reached the church early. 6:45 sharp, carrying my spiral notebook and a folder that didn't rattle. The fellowship hall smelled of coffee and pine sol, comforting scents from years of potlucks and choir practice. Folding chairs lined up in neat rows under the hum of fluorescent lights. I placed my things on the last chair by the wall, back to safety, eyes on both doors. I found Deacon Ruth by the bulletin board, confirming she'd secured the CCTV clips from Friday. "All logged," she said, her tone as steady as her faith. That was enough. I sat, adjusting my glasses. Calm isn't surrender, calm is aim. My phone buzzed twice. Vernon texted, "Standing by." Lorna added, "If they posture, call me on speaker." The first to walk in was Callista, her heels clicking too loud for a church floor. Travis followed, shoulders tight, eyes avoiding mine. 2 cousins came behind, crossing their arms like ushers of drama. I greeted them all with a calm evening. Then, in the same voice I once used on restless choir tenors, I said, "Let's keep it Sunday clean. No yelling, no pointing. If it ain't in ink, it ain't in stone." I outlined 3 points on my pad: keys, insurance, respect. Callista smiled too wide and declared, "We're here to move forward with demo plans." I slid the temporary protective order packet across the table, the paper whispering louder than her tone. "Then start with this." Travis fidgeted. "We just need clarity," he said. I met his eyes. "Clarity's cheap when truth is handy." Deacon Ruth set up the church laptop and projector. No fuss, just purpose. "Ruth," I said, "please pull Friday's footage." The screen flickered to life. Callista appeared in the video, smiling, carrying cupcakes, waiting until the volunteer left the room. Then reaching into the mail cubbies, my padded envelope appeared in her hand. Timestamp clear as sunrise. Gasps rippled. Travis's head dropped. Callista stammered. I was cleaning up her messy mail. I laid the empty padded sleeve on the table. barcode side up. "If you handle my keys," I said. "You handle my life." "That ends tonight." Silence held the room like prayer before confession. Ruth logged the video's file hash, printed the statement, signed her name. I pulled my folder closer, stacking each document: insurance hold letter, odor report, hospital form, personal memo, 1 sentence per page. "Paper don't panic," I said. Callista scoffed. "She's confused. Stress does that." I looked at her and answered, "Not confused, documented." Travis whispered, "I didn't know." "Now you do," I replied. Ruth asked the visitors to remain silent, her voice soft but firm as gospel. Lorna joined by speakerphone, her calm voice filling the hall. She called the insurer's claim desk on record. The agent confirmed a beneficiary change attempt under Callista's name, denied and flagged. Then read aloud, "No payment or authorization without Mydell Holland's written consent." The cousins shifted in their seats. Lorna called the HOA next. Their manager confirmed an unauthorized demolition request sent from Callista's email. Pending fines, suspended work orders, all documented. Then came a knock. A deputy entered, hat in hand. "Service addendum," he said. "Temporary order updated. No handling of petitioner's keys, mail or records. All copies surrendered by 10 a.m. tomorrow." He asked who held spare keys. Callista stared at the floor. Travis pulled one from his pocket and placed it on the table. "Thank you," I told him. The deputy handed out copies and left. I folded mine neatly, slid it into my folder. "We're done guessing," I said. "We're following paper," when Callista hissed. "You made this public," I answered. "You brought it here. I brought a light." Travis moved closer. Wordless solidarity. Ruth prayed us out. Brief. We's protective. "Outside in the lot," Travis exhaled. "I should have checked that cupcake story." "You can't fix yesterday," I said, "but you can walk right tomorrow." I took a photo of the new order against the church sign, timestamp, glowing proof. As I got in my car, my porch camera chimed, motion detected, guest room door opened. I wasn't home. The alert hit while I was still in the church parking lot. The porch cam feed froze on a gloved hand pressing blue painter's tape over my guest room doorframe. My chest went cold, but my hands stayed steady. I called Travis first. "If you're with Callista, keep your phone open and don't touch a thing," he said quietly. "I'm already outside your place." That told me all I needed to know. Something was unfolding before my eyes. I called the sheriff's office, cited my protective order, then texted Vernon, my attorney. Possible unlawful entry. Camera verified. I took one long breath before heading home. "If it isn't locked," I murmured to myself, "it's a promise you never meant to keep." Hazard lights blinking. I rolled up to my house. Travis sat in his car, both hands visible on the wheel. "I didn't go in," he said. I confirmed that out loud for the deputy's body cam when the patrol unit arrived. We walked the perimeter together, light sweeping along the siding. The back gate latch hung crooked, citrus cleaner in the air like a warning. I pointed out scraps of tape beneath the threshold. "Collect those," I said. "Chain of custody matters." The deputy nodded and bagged them while I started my own screen recording. When Travis texted that Callista was on her way, I replied, "She'll wait at the curb." Boundaries weren't just spoken, they were lived inside. The porch cam video played across my TV. The figure wore a rain jacket, ball cap low, latex gloves. The stainless smartwatch glinted, its corner cracked, just like the one I'd bought Callista last Christmas. The deputy requested a copy for evidence. I exported a clean file to a thumb drive and sealed it inside a church envelope with my signature across the flap. In the guest room, my cedar chest was dragged 2 feet. A photo of my late husband flipped face down. The contractor tote on the floor was empty. I pointed to my inventory list taped inside the closet door. "That date proves what's missing," Travis whispered. "That's her watch band." Then fell silent. I didn't respond. Silence can be stronger than accusation. Then her voice came through the phone, sharp as vinegar. "Tell the deputy the key pouch was already empty." I put her on speaker and added Lorna. the insurer's attorney. "For quality assurance," Lorna said. "This call is recorded," Callista snapped. "I taped the sensor so your stupid camera wouldn't alert the HOA. The deputy's pen froze midair. Lorna asked evenly, "Ma'am, did you just confirm you taped over an active security device on a property under claim?" There was a pause, then a brittle. "I was preventing nuisance alerts," I answered quietly. "Under a protective order. That's tampering." Lorna read back the call ID. I repeated it into my recording. "That's how truth gets filed. Clean, time-stamped, adult. We checked the guest room again. The attic hatch showed new scuffs. Insulation shifted. I climbed one step on the stool and saw faint boot prints. In my safe, untouched, lay a USB labeled CAM, outside. I plugged it in. Video of Callista's SUV idling near my fence the night of the fire. Travis groaned. She said she never left home after 9. I didn't speak. The evidence spoke enough. Deacon Ruth and Pastor Cole arrived as neutral witnesses. Pastor said a prayer for order without revenge. The deputy asked Travis to text Callista not to approach. Neighbors gathered. I turned to them. "We're safe. We're cooperating. Papers walking us through this fire," Vernon called. "Hold steady. No dramatics. You're winning by the rules." I sealed the footage, logged every detail, every photo, every smell of cleaner still clinging to the air. When Callista's car appeared, she smiled that tight smile of people cornered by their own plans. "Just a misunderstanding," she said. The deputy recited the order. She froze, words dying. Travis stood by me this time. I told her evenly. "You may face charges. I won't shout. I'll file—" She hissed. "You'll die alone in that house," I answered. "I've already lived through worse with quieter company. Later." Vernon texted the morning's lineup, court, filings, HOA. I moved my pillow to the front bedroom, set the lights to stay on all night. "Calm ain't soft," I whispered. "Calm is aimed." At 10:07 p.m., my phone buzzed. An email from the fire marshal. "Accelerant residue found near my bedroom door." Then a second ping. Court time moved to 8:30 a.m. The unmasking had only just begun. The fire marshal met me at 7:55 a.m. sharp outside the courthouse steps. He was a young man, polite but firm, holding a folder marked Accelerant Analysis. He spoke plain, no fluff. "This pattern reads deliberate, not accidental." I repeated his words into my log, steady voice, same as always. Vernon arrived right then, neat suit, clean shoes, no small talk. We laid out the evidence. Tape residue, USB footage, the still shot of Callista's cracked watch band. I called Lorna, confirmed her office was preserving the recorded call, and she promised an affidavit by noon. My text to Travis was short. "Tell the truth in a clean shirt." He wrote back, "I'm here." My thought as I walked through the metal detector, if you do the adult work, truth doesn't need to shout. Court started early. Callista sat 2 rows back, her mouth a flat line. Her lawyer said she'd only been preventing nuisance alerts. Vernon didn't blink. He played the video. Timestamp clear as daylight. The insurer's transcript followed, then the fire marshal's report. I spoke less than 5 minutes. All facts, no adjectives. The judge's pen moved quick. He asked Travis to confirm the watch band. Travis nodded without lifting his eyes. When the gavel hit, the ruling came simple and strong. 1-year protection order. No contact, no entry, no online harassment. What? Callista's devices were to be forensically copied. The judge added that she was barred from touching any of my property or finances until further review. I didn't smile. Calm isn't soft. Calm is aimed. Outside the courtroom, the fire marshal handed the file to the assistant DA. They whispered, then announced a criminal referral for arson. Callista's shoulders stiffened. Her attorney's voice cracked, asking for a delay. Denied. The DA read the case number, loud enough for every pew to hear. Travis leaned close. "I'll drive you home," I said. "Ride's covered. You call HR and tell them you're taking time to tell the truth." Pastor Elijah appeared from nowhere, hand on my shoulder, praying for justice, without revenge but with order. I let the amen sit quiet. "Justice is a door," I thought, it opens on hinges we oiled yesterday. By noon, I was at Vernon's office signing 3 papers that changed my future. Trust activation, access revocation, and an asset freeze. Each line signed like steady breathing. He arranged a mobile notary for the afternoon. Cloud copies included. The HOA board called an emergency session. Callista's privileges revoked effective immediately. I replaced every lock in my house and taped the receipt to the inside of my file binder. People think revenge is noise, I murmured. Mine is paperwork. Later. Lorna called. Her investigation team was freezing any claim connected to Callista. Travis texted a photo of his surrendered house key. "Thank you for not yelling," he wrote, I replied. "Grown folks fix what they break." Pastor Ruth offered me dinner. I asked for witness statements instead. She laughed. "That's the Maydell I know." I dragged my cedar chest back alone, liking the sound of order returning. At dusk, Callista parked across the street. The deputy followed. She shouted, "You set me up!" I stepped only to the line of my mailbox. "You taped my house and lied under oath. The law will do the talking now." She threatened fire again. And I answered. I just fireproofed it with truth. Travis didn't cross the street. He simply mouthed, "I'm sorry." She left. Taillights red like warnings fading down the road. When night came, I sat on the porch with my binder on my lap, tabs for every battle I'd fought and won. I called to confirm tomorrow's interview, then left Travis a voicemail. "If you want a seat back at my table, bring proof you've grown." I tucked Pastor Elijah's peach cobbler recipe into the old cookbook where I'd hidden keys before. Sweetness where secrecy once lived. The porch light buzzed softly. My locks clicked into place, each one sounding like a promise kept. "Lock doesn't mean closed," I said aloud. "It means kept." Then came an email ping from a neighbor. "Footage you missed." I opened my eyes wider than my door. The email loaded slow, then froze on a single frame. A second shadow, taller, moving behind Callista the night of the fire. My porch light flickered once, like it knew. I whispered. So it wasn't just her. The screen blinked again. Attachment downloading. Who else had a key?